Somewhere between the muddy banks of the Arkansas River and the gilded halls of the Capitol, Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders lit a fuse under the fragile roof of public education and called it liberty. With the LEARNS Act, she didn't just expand school vouchers. She opened the public vault, poured taxpayer dollars into private institutions, and told public schools to compete in a race while shackled at the ankles, all under the banner of education freedom. Freedom, it seems, is now for sale and only redeemable at select locations. The pitch is seductive, though. Let parents choose, give families the means to leave failing public schools and place their kids in better ones. But like most marketing campaigns written by lobbyists and inked by politicians, it's a smokescreen for a deeper transfer of power and resources, from the public to the private, from the many to the few. What the vouchers actually do is simple and devastating. They siphon public education funds, about $6,600 per student, out of the public school budget and reroute them into private schools, homeschooling programs, or unregulated education service providers. Every student who leaves a public school for a voucher doesn't just take their backpack. They take thousands in state funding with them. But the classroom still needs heat, the teacher still asks to be paid, and the building still needs repairs. The children who remain still deserve an education, but the dollars are gone. Here's the part they don't say out loud. Over 85% of the students who received vouchers in Arkansas's first year were already enrolled in private schools, already wearing the uniforms, already walking the manicured lawns, already inside the gates. This isn't helping the poor escape anything. It is a state-funded coupon for the already comfortable, a tax rebate for the affluent disguised as compassion. And if you live in a rural area where there's no private school within 30 miles, or you can't afford the tuition that the voucher doesn't cover, or your child has a learning disability or behavioral diagnosis that makes private schools nervous, you're not just excluded, you're left holding the bill. Meanwhile, private schools, many of them religious, many of them ideologically driven, get public money without public responsibility. They don't have to admit every child. They can and do turn students away based on academic history, family background, disability, religion, or simple whim. They're not required to hire certified teachers. They're not bound by the same curriculum standards. They don't have to follow federal laws about special education, and they aren't subject to the same transparency or accountability rules that govern every public school. Which means they can teach creationism instead of evolution. They can leave out the civil rights movement and still cash a check drawn on your taxes. All of this is happening in a state that already ranks near the bottom in education outcomes and per pupil spending. In 2024 alone, Arkansas diverted over $46 million in public education funds into private hands through the EFA program, and the cost will balloon in 2025 and 2026, when the program becomes universally available to every student, regardless of need. This is not education reform, it's education sabotage, a methodical defunding of public institutions cloaked in the language of empowerment. They'll tell you this is about competition, but what kind of race starts with one runner blindfolded and barefoot and the other with a golf cart? Public schools accept all comers. They take the gifted and the struggling, the homeless and the privileged, the angry, the autistic, the hungry, the hurting. Private schools cherry pick. That's not competition, that's a shell game. And they'll tell you this is about parent choice, but for most families that choice doesn't exist. There's no private school nearby, or the tuition exceeds the voucher amount by thousands, or the private school refuses to enroll their child, or even worse, the family does get in and finds the school unequipped to support them. The voucher doesn't guarantee a spot, it guarantees an illusion. They'll say it lifts kids out of failing schools, but the data betrays them there too. Most of the money goes to students who were never in public schools to begin with. This isn't an escape, it's a subsidy. And those failing schools have been failed, but they've been failed by legislatures that cut budgets, governors that pass the buck, and voters that are told that taxes are theft, and now they're being punished just for surviving. What the LEARN Act has created is not an escape hatch. It's a two-tiered system. A public system gasping for air and a private one fattened on public funds but free of public obligation. I weep for the towns where the high school is the last standing symbol of community. Now told to do more with less, to cut music, to share one nurse among 3 students, or among 3 schools, to pray the roof doesn't collapse before the year's out. I weep for the teachers, now paid slightly more but stripped of their job protections, treated as disposable labor in a system that treats devotion as weakness. This is a polite flag-draped smash and grab sanctioned by a legislature of preachers and profiteers who see the public good as something to loot. But we still have time, and breath, and balance. We still have parents who know that real freedom doesn't come from a voucher, it comes from a library that's open after school. From a teacher who knows your kid's middle name, from a guidance counselor who helps them fill out college applications, from a football coach who checks in on their home life, and from a cafeteria lady who slips them an extra roll because she knows they don't get dinner at home. We can still say this is not okay, that this is not normal, that a democracy that bleeds its schools to feed ideology is a democracy in name only. If we stay quiet, though, the next child will sit in a classroom with peeling paint and a broken heater, holding a voucher in their hand and wondering why it won't buy them books or a bus ride or a future. And the private schools will be full, and the doors will be closed, and the state will say, well, you had your choice, and that's where we are, until we stop it. And for the love of every child who still believes that first day of school magic, let us stop it. Define still death.